Hello and welcome to OWXL Season 3 Week 1. First map, this is Eichenwald. We've got a game here for you, WinkyFace against the Intangibles from the Rivals here. Really excited to get this one kicked off for you. I'm your host, Salt and Pepper. Hosting with me is Zach of Spades 26. Zach, how are you, man?
I'm doing really good. 2 games, 2 nights. Really excited to see, how eager these the people are in this league, and I'm excited to see a really good game. Should be a really good matchup between these two.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, this season we are doing set maps to start. This week 1 is Eichenwald for all the teams. The losing team from this first map will have the opportunity to pick any other available map to them for the second round, and then should we have to go to a third round, the losing team from that game would pick as well. But yeah, starting off on Eichenwald, both teams are ready to go, so we just need to get the readies from the captains, and we can kick this off. If you missed the game last night from this tier between, I believe that was Daddyland and who were they playing? Who did that game?
Daddyland and see, now I'm having trouble.
Revenant, that's what it was. No, it's Revenant.
That's it. Yeah.
They very tightly contested game. Excited to cast that one last night. And if you missed that, you can go check it out on the stream. It starts in a little late, had a few streaming difficulties, but still a solid game throughout. So go check that out if you get the opportunity. Again, just making sure that we've got the readies from both captains, and we'll get this game started for you. Zach, how do you feel about Eichenwald to start this game off?
I mentioned this yesterday, and I'll say it again. I think that a hybrid map is a really good first map choice, just because you get a good feel of what the other team is capable of, and that lets you kind of know what your map pick should be if you do end up losing, whether they're good at holding a payload, holding a point, defending a point, or getting that attack in, or if they're more strong at pushing a payload and kind of escorting that through and finding different flanking routes. So I think that a hybrid map is always a very good one to start off with, just to get a feel for what you're going to be going up against.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it takes a little bit of the guesswork out. With the draft, we were kind of getting down to just the same kind of maps, a lot of control points to start, so I think this will mix it up a little bit and allow us to see a few more maps, and allows teams to play a little bit of strategy, so they can kind of counter pick if they know what teams are good. I think that'll kind of come into a more into effect later throughout the season, as you see teams play on multiple types of maps. You get to know what they're good on, maybe what they're a little bit weaker on, and attack those and see if that can help you get a result. So I think it adds a different element to the competition this season, so I'm excited about that. Make sure we have the full lineups in here. We have 2 substitutions available for WinkyFace, so I wanted to make sure they have the correct lineup. I believe both teams are ready, so hang with us for just a second. We'll get this game started.
Traveling to Eichenwald.
Alright, starting off on Eichenwald, a good hybrid pick, like you said, a good opportunity to see the scope of a team's ability. So, yeah, interesting that we get to start on this one. I believe it will be WinkyFace on the defense to begin here.
Personally, I kind of feel like there might be a little bit of an advantage on the defense of a hybrid map just when you start off with, because you know exactly how far you need to go. If you are able to hold them, then you kind of have that bar set to what you're working towards.
I agree, and we saw a really good matchup last night again between Daddyland and Revenant on this map, both taking it past the second checkpoint, and then I believe it was Revenant not quite making it to the final point there. Daddyland able to get the win on the first map, but you're right. You know, getting to see defending, taking a point, a lot of scope of a lot of different teams, and so good place to start. Coming out with the lineup so far, on the left-hand side there, WinkyFace, Teal Vanguard on Zarya, Third Eye Funkboy, yet undecided, but may go tank as well. Spartan Wells going Moira, Cheeky326 on Hanzo, Tectonio going Reaper, Kyle Gunner going Reinhardt. So maybe Third Eye Funkboy is probably the other healer, perhaps. I switch it up there a little bit. I know Cheeky can heal as well. So now goes Mercy, and Third Eye Funkboy still maybe filling that other tank role. Regardless, for the attack, a little bit more decided Defiant Bust on Reinhardt, Izanagi on Soldier, Dr. Deuce on Zarya, Spungit, not really sure, on Winston, Hang the Deuce on Zenyatta, 1-1 run on Mercy.
So what's your opinion of the prevalence of Moira now in a more competitive environment? I feel like she's taken off a lot quicker than, say, Doomfist has.
Yeah, I completely agree. As you were starting to say that, I was going to make the comparison to Doomfist. It's been difficult to see him really get worked into comps. I think his skill set is so unlike a lot of other heroes, and Moira is a very unique skill set, obviously, as well. But I think with the DPS kind of support style that she has, it makes her a little bit more appealing. Doomfist, if not played correctly, it could be a little squishy. And so it's not that she's not, but the Fade obviously definitely helps. Good out of situations if you find yourself maybe a little overextended. So maybe there's a little bit more room for error there. And as a result, she's been attracted by a few more players. But as the attack comes in really aggressively from Defiant Bust, already getting the kills as Kyle Gunner drops, and that's going to be a really essential pick there for the attack coming in, now not having a tank. But as Spungit falls, it's going to make it difficult for the attack as well. Now at a 5v5, Cheeky will not be able to res any defenders, and as Tectonio gets really low, tries to wraith away, the attack is in a much better position here. Already starting to try and contest the point, playing really well grouped up behind those tanks, trying to get the kills they need. And the defense looks a little bit scattered, but now Kyle Gunner back from that previous death. Right as Third Eye Funkboy then falls, but Cheeky should be back shortly to be able to res if he has it on cooldown. But now the kill is going entirely for the attack. The Valkyrie comes out for 1-1 run and able to keep them alive. They'll be able to cap this point here in the first 60 seconds. That was an impressive push.
Oh yeah, we see Tectonio really doing his best to try to combat that triple tank double healing, but in the end does get taken out, and the attack just rolls through. A lot of power, a lot of health, and a lot of attack just coming out on the side of the Intangibles.
Yeah, now trying to push up a little bit to get some space for the payload, but the defense not quite letting them. Wanted to set up here at the corner. Looking at the ult economy, Defiant Bust, who is on fire, sitting there with a Earth Shadow, looking to use that to help this attack push forward and around this corner. With him, Hank the Deuce has a Transcendence also on fire there and should be able to use that coming this next engagement. Here comes the Graviton Surge from TL Vanguard, and as we expected, the Transcendence coming out from Hank the Deuce to keep his team alive, and it looks like that will kind of help them bolster through that attack. Still ults for the defensive. Spartan Wells Coalescence could be coming out, and Kyle Gunner looking for an opportunity to use that Earth Shadow should it present itself. A few more on the way as well. Here comes the Shadow though, and the Coalescence, or rather Defiant Bust and Kyle Gunner both falling there. The Shadow coming through, and Kyle Gunner the better off, now getting res by his Valkyrie and Mercy, and they're going to push the attack back maybe just a little bit. Though with the Primal Rage coming out from Spungit, maybe getting distracted and having to split up this fight. You see them kind of having to fight two fronts here. Zach, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing that Winston seems to be pretty effective in just kind of splitting up their front that they're having. We do see the Graviton come out now. Is able to pick off 3 big picks, both tanks and Mercy. Tectonio goes down, Spartan Wells goes down shortly after, and that, if I'm not mistaken, is a team wipe. It's a really good job on the side of the attack. But as I was saying, the Winston's doing a really good job of kind of getting behind and splitting the focus of the defense right now. And it is allowing the other 2 tanks, the Zarya and the Reinhardt, to just continuously push forward with that payload.
Yeah, we've seen a few of these players here on WinkyFace before. They've been in the league. A lot of newcomers coming on the sides of Intangibles, playing really well so far, already with 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the bank and well on their way to getting into this second checkpoint. They're now getting pushed back. Teal Vanguard and Threat F on Void combining well with that Deadeye and then just sheer willpower to push back some of those attackers, and that'll be the first time they've really been stalled in this game up to this point.
So now we'll see them kind of group back up. We saw the Reinhardt kind of kill himself so that he could get back with the rest of his team. I think that was a really smart move. Now they're all together. They're going to be able to push forward as a team. And from what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem like they're going to have much trouble taking this to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, I like how well they're grouped up. We've got Spaniard on stream here, coming in with Winston, and they catch Tectonio up in a little bit of high ground. Maybe trying to wait for that Death Blossom, but sneaking behind, push him off of that. Now the defense is going to recoil a little bit here as the attack starts to push in on them. Fight breaks out immediately with the Tactical Visor coming from Inzaghi, trying to get a little bit of damage in, but the shield, I think, from Kyle Gunner will keep most of the team pretty bolstered. He does pick up Spartan Wells, now that'd be essential for them. The Graviton coming up from TL Vanguard should start splitting up this team. Tectonio combined well and grabs a couple with his ult coming on either side. The Shatter from Defiant Bust will take Cheeky out of the match. Now it's really just the Primal Rage, I think, from Sponge trying to keep the attack on point. They still have, actually, I guess, Inzaghi on that Soldier, the Transcendence as well. They're trying to push back the defense, just, inches away from the second checkpoint. Not quite able to push in just yet.
And we do see the Coalescence come out. He is quickly taken out, though. Really good job by Hank the Deuce. Just, kind of getting some picks there. Some resistance coming on either side. The Reinhardt is back on, but then gets taken out quickly, and the attack is able to push those last couple of feet onto the checkpoint. And now we're starting this C section. What do you think that WinkyFace needs to do right now to kind of combat this really strong triple tank offense?
Well, I like the Tectonio switch onto Junkrat. I think it's going to get a lot more damage in, especially with this narrow corridor from this third section. It could kind of maybe gum up the works for this attack that's been rolling pretty smoothly up to this point. And TL Vanguard, again, trying to go in with the Winston to get in some of those squishier characters. I think right now it's just a matter of communication. It just looks like the communication is maybe a little bit stronger on the Intangibles side right now. The Graviton coming in from, I believe that was Dr. Deuce. Not quite able to catch the defense, though. And the defenders here, WinkyFace, should be able to push these attackers back out. They're quite split up. And it's the two supports, 1-1 run, and Hank the Deuce fall the tank as well. TL Vanguard getting in the mix there. It will be a regroup for the attack.
Cheeky did a really good job of, popping that Vanguard when she saw the Zarya ult come out, and her entire team just kind of sitting there vulnerable. And I think she did a really good job of alternating between healing and attack boosting to allow them to kind of clear out that attack and push them back once more.
Coming back in this next engagement, Hank the Deuce with a Transcendence. Izanagi still has another Tactical Visor that he could use here in a second. 1-1 run, 3% away from that Valkyrie. So a lot of ults will be able to use Kyle Gunner with the Shatter close. Tectonio out there to Riptire, TL Vanguard very close to another Primal Rage. So this next engagement should break out. I like how both the teams are kind of staggering their ultimates though, and not needing to use them all at once. But now as Spugna comes in with a good double there, Cheeky will try and res one of them as she falls. And now it does seem like it's going a little bit the way of the attack, maybe a little bit back and forth. But now the Transcendence from Hank the Deuce should help his teammates just a little bit. A lot of damage coming in from the attackers trying to continue pushing this payload. The Graviton now coming in from Third Eye Funk Boy before he drops. Will catch a couple, and they're able to wrap up 2 kills there, or at least 1.5 as Defiant Bust goes out of the mech. The attack still looks pretty strong here, and I think they're going to continue trying to push in, at least for the time being, or maybe trying to charge back out actually. The defense really pushing in on them. I think they will retreat and come back to fight into the day. Minute 16 left on the clock.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if that Graviton was a little bit premature. They were just, he saw the 2 people and grabbed them, and the Reinhardt spung it, whatever you want to call him. He tried to get in there and put some shield, wasn't really able to. However, the Mercy came in afterwards and got the res, so the attack really was able to stay pretty strong. Eventually was, pushed back by the defense, but I think that Graviton could have been a little bit more well used.
Looking at ultimates again, 3 for either side coming into this next fight. And it's going to have to be a really strong push by the attack. I like how the defense is really dug in here and held at this third point. This is a very difficult section to go through because of how narrow it is and how kind of focused your attack needs to be. Now the Shatter coming in directly into the shield of Kyle Gunner. That was a good shield from him to avoid that. But now the on the other side of Defiant Bust will snag one there with the self-destruct. Tectonio, however, coming back with the neat double on both tanks with the Riptire. And now again, ultimates coming out on either side. The Valkyries for both Mercies getting their team members back into the fight. Tectonio will shut down Dr. Deuce's counter ult there, but now as the Transcendence comes out from Hank the Deuce, still just trying to keep those last remaining attackers alive. It looks pretty strong for both teams here. The Valkyries start to fade off, and now really it's going to come down to the nitty-gritty as Kyle Gunner goes in for the pin, is successful, is able to take down Dr. Deuce with that hammer, and now it's Hank the Deuce in a really difficult spot here, getting a lot of damage in and not able to stay around this swinging hammer. Both those Reinhardts going in after each other. It's Spugman getting the better of Kyle Gunner, however, a little bit of health left. The attack continues to push the payload around the corner.
Yeah, the attack was not quite able to, the defense was not quite able to quash the attack before the rest of their teammates got back to the point, and they were able to get the fix they needed and continue to push off, eliminating the defense and taking this first point of Eichenwald.
Yeah, really strong push there from the attack. Stalled just a little bit there, and obviously capping this in overtime, but able to finally push that through all the way to the final checkpoint. But yeah, really difficult push for them. I think the defense finally galvanized a little bit, held themselves well, but the attack a little bit too strong for them. We'll see if WinkyFace can come back and cap it with better time and have an opportunity to take something away from this game.
I think a lot of that last push, the success of it was due to Hank the Deuce just coming out with that Transcendence after the Earth Shatter and just keeping his team alive, allowing them to fight, continue on where they probably would have been cleaned up otherwise. And that, in my opinion, really allowed, kind of galvanized Intangibles and allowed them to make that last final push in overtime.
So now for the attack, WinkyFace coming out looking to already right off the back, Tectonio going back to the Junkrat, getting that damage in TL Vanguard on the Soldier, Spartan Wells on Moira. For the defenders, a little bit of damage there. I like Divine Bust and the Torbjorn, especially behind Spugman's shield there, and Risa Izanagi going back on Soldier, got a couple of clutch tactical visors and found some good positions there in the last game. Dr. Deuce going Roadhog, one run on Mercy, and Hank the Deuce back on the Zenyatta, who again I think timed his Transcendence well, also found himself in good positions, and I didn't see him in the kill feed that often, so yeah, strong attack from the Intangibles. Again, we haven't seen, I believe, this team so far. I'm not familiar with a lot of these players, so yeah, impressing on this first round of Eichenwald.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
All right, so starting up now, we do see a lot more of damage sponge type characters on the side of the defense. This time the Intangibles, we see the Roadhog and the Orisa is going to be that tank as opposed to the Zarya Reinhardt. And then we also see, like you mentioned, the Torbjorn, but he gets picked early by TL Vanguard on the Soldier, gets rezzed by 1-1 run, and they're also seems to be just as aggressive as Intangible was last time. However, that turret on top of the building on that little balcony is doing some work and putting a lot of damage in to the side of WinkyFace. However, they continue to push forward undaunted. They've got 4-5 people on the point, and it looks like they should be able to take this one pretty quickly. Wow, that is incredibly aggressive. Really good plays, really good coordination by WinkyFace so far.
Yeah, TL Vanguard, we had him on stream that entire time and was just mowing through people. See if we have a replay of him just going to work, because that was impressive from him. Looks like we don't have it loaded, that's too bad. But yeah, obviously we had him on stream able to get a lot of those picks, and as soon as you called up the turret, it seemed like he was well aware, able to get that down. And already 71% to a tactical visor, playing well. Spartan Wells with a tactical visor there for WinkyFace has that, and I believe the next closest Tectonio there with a Riptire. Nothing on the side of the defense, and again, with as quickly as the attack took that first point, not surprising, not a lot of ults in the field. Also interesting to note, the Intangibles on their defense sitting back a little bit further than we saw WinkyFace sit on the second section. Not quite as pushed up to the corner. Now the ult's coming out here for Spartan Wells with the Coalescence. Tectonio with another tidy double on that Riptire, starting to really melt these attackers as both supports go down. It seems like the entire kill feed now going blue for WinkyFace as they continue to roll this payload through. Though I say that, and they're not actually pushing it. Cheeky finally remembering that it's behind them, getting a little bit of the progress there, and just pushing back the team, or the defense here. Really aggressively.
Yeah, everyone really enjoyed the aggressive push that we're seeing from both teams this game. It requires a lot of coordination, requires a lot of communication, and I think they're both doing it, really, really well on these various attack pushes. We do see the dueling mercies come out though. The tranquility also coming out at the same time. Now there's a self-destruct coming in, is able to pick up 3. Wow, hang the deuce, Sponge and Eddie, Zanagi goes down. Tectonio tries to get a Riptide off, but Dr. Deuce destroys it before he can get any purchase. TL Vanguard is able to get a pick though, trying to get a little bit of purchase on this payload, and they are able to just push it a little bit away they need to get the next checkpoint.
Yeah, 5 minutes and 16 seconds still on the clock for them, pushing into the third point here for the members on fire, but 2 also contend with on the defense with Dr. Deuce with that Riptire available and the Supercharger from Spunnet looking to slow this attack down. And yeah, a lot of time in the bank coming through here, and they'll be optimistic trying to get to, again, the final point. There was some time on the clock and have that final push, look for an opportunity to take the win in this game.
So I remember asking what WinkyFace had to do in order to, kind of combat the aggressive push. And what do you think that Intangibles has to do now to combat this aggressive push? Because they're just walking this straight through.
Well, I would say to stop the bleeding a little bit. They're doing that right there. Spung able to take down third at Funk Boy without the shield. They'll have to start retreating as both their supports go down. Cheeky going down via the tire from Dr. Juice was essential. I don't think his rip tires have been quite as influential as Tectonio's have. We've seen Tectonio with a couple multi-kills and able to really, obviously taking down a third of the team is a pretty significant ultimate there. So, not that that's the only reason, but I feel like that's been a bit of a catalyst for WinkyFace and pushing them over the edge in some of these fights.
I'd have to agree. So Junkrat, your main goal is to put as much damage into that team as possible, and I don't really see Dr. Deuce doing that quite as well as Tectonio was. So either he's going to step it up, or maybe switch like a Reaper to try to take out that Diva Reinhardt that are just, kind of the forefront of these pushes on the side of WinkyFace right now.
Yeah, and now 6 ultimates for the defenders, and they've got to feel like they're in a really good position here. Ult's building for the attack as well, and now a Riptire coming out from Dr. Deuce, combined with the Self-Destruct and Defiant Bust. Each gets 1 as Cheeky and Tectonio both fall there. The Coalescence coming out from Spartan Wells, trying to grab a few, but it may just be the attackers pulling back here, having lost so many members of their team. Still have 3 ultimates to work with, and the Shatter on the way from third at Funk Boy. 2 ults drawn out from the defenders that will kind of level the playing field for them a little bit. Still 3 minutes and 10 seconds though, so we're in a good position here to continue this push. No need to be too hasty just yet.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if that last push was intended to kind of draw some outside. They got, quite a few, or I guess at least 2, and I think that, like you said, really leveled the playing field. Didn't seem like a full push, but this time they're really coming out with everything they have. There's the attack visor, out comes the self-destruct. He's able to pick up Dr. Deuce and 1-1 run, 2 pretty good picks. Tectonio also able to get Spungent and the Supercharger. Everything going blue right now.
Yeah, and obviously you're not going to get the ultimate multi-kill every single time, but when Tectonio is able to grab it there and combine with Kyle Gunner and Diva to take down another 2, that's a good portion of the team having to retreat from the defense, and they start to slide this point into the final section. But now it's a last-minute contest here from Spungent coming in. Still 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, so we'll have to really hold up this defense for a while. But as third at Funk Boy and Tectonio fall, but maybe the end of this attack, that's the multi-kill that I was looking for from Dr. Deuce. A triple kill there with the tire. TL Vanguard, Kyle Gunner, Cheeky all falling. Tectonio will join them. That's a really strong hold from the defense.
And we see this kind of last, final ditch hold from the side of Spungent. I'm sorry, Intangibles on with Spungent on the Winston, just kind of coming out there, getting kind of behind the payload, putting up a barrier to prevent WinkyFace from really putting any damage onto the rest of his team. I think it was a really good switch by him, and I'd like to see how this progresses.
Yeah, still a lot of time, but obviously less so. 1 minute and 40 seconds now. The defense, or rather the attack, not really too worried just yet. Not too far to go, but now the ultimate's coming out for them as the TL Vanguard used the tactical visor, is able to grab Dr. Deuce, and Kyle Gunner adding 1 more there on 1-1 run. Was having a really difficult time getting away from some of these ultimates. Spungent falls, Defiant Bust out of mech, and the attack really starts likely getting some strong momentum coming to this final section. I don't think anybody will be able to contest. That will be a WinkyFace win. I guess they will get to do their that round 2 extension there, so they get the opportunity for the win there. But a lot of time left on the clock for them. Minute 17 to be a final push for them, and now it's just Intangibles looking for an opportunity to get that draw.
They're gonna have to do, I don't know, a straight cancerous strategy if they really want to be able to hold this, because a minute 17 is a lot of time. And as we saw WinkyFace do last round, they're incredibly aggressive. They will push, no holds barred, and they have no problem taking that point from you by force.
Yeah, we did see really two aggressive pushes from both attacks, a bit of a tissue paper defense on that first point from both sides. So again, it'll have to be a stronger hold from Intangibles here than we saw in that first round from them. I guess the second round from them. But also, I think the other biggest difference, Cheeky, who had been playing the Mercy for WinkyFace, staying alive a little bit longer. Just in a lot of those fights, 1-1 run, like I mentioned, having a difficult time getting away from some of those ultimates and suffering for it, not able to help keep the team alive as much. So that'll be another issue for them, just make sure they protect their supports and make sure they're available for those team fights.
And so now it's starting. The attacks are going to start pushing forward. We do see, the kind of the more or less the same. The Moria, the Mercy, the Junkrat. We see the D.Va, Ryan, TL Vanguard again, just doing work on that soldier. Let's see what they can do.
And the defense sitting back here, again, not an incredible amount of time, but enough really to work with for the attack. They start to push in behind that third eye Funk Boy, Reinhardt shield, pushing in around this left-hand side, getting a little bit of space at the point. Nobody falling just yet. And obviously the attack knows they get that one pick that could be the push they need to get onto the point. The defense holding well, but kind of bending a little bit. Spunget balls, that's going to be a big pick for the attack. As they can start pushing in 1-1 run, not in a position to get that resurrection just yet. But it doesn't look like the attack's really moving into the point. Maybe chased D.Va back there a little bit. Both D.Vas out of mech now as Tectonio gets the res there. A double tire from Dr. Deuce will essentially end that push, though. It's going to be really difficult for him to keep this attack up now with both tanks falling. Spartan Wolf's trying to answer one back with Coalescence, but the defense really wrapping up. And now with 15 seconds left, it's going to be a mad scramble to get back to the point for the attackers.
Yeah, it was a good defense, good defensive hold. They that Riptire, I think, came in clutch, getting both of those tanks. And like you said, now the attack is going to have to do something to get there. 3 seconds left, 2, 1. Ooh, they managed to sneak on there at the last second with the D.Va. Ryan comes charging into the point. Everyone's on the point now, trying to do what they can. We do see the Tranquility come out on the side of Intangibles, keeping his team alive, just ending this attacking push. Spongeit is going to stay on that Winston. He's putting as much damage as he can into the enemy team. D.Va ends up going down. The Dr. Deuce gets rezzed. We do see the Earthshatter come out, though, on the side of Third Eye Funk Boy. He quickly is taken down as well, though. Tectonio gets D.Va out of her mech. Kills going back and forth right now. This could be anybody's game. Ryan is able to get Defiant Burst, though, but Defiant then gets rezzed. Kyle Gunner does pull out her ult, though, and is able to get Izanagi and Hank the Deuce. Tectonio also getting Defiant Fist. Looks like this might be going the way of the attack, though. There is their Mercy deciding on holding on to that point. She does res Defiant, though. Defiant calls down her mech again, but it's not going to be quite enough, and the attack is able to take this in overtime. Wow.
Yeah, pretty incredible fight there. It looked all lost for the attackers. We were able to come back in, get a good stall there from, I believe that was Kyle Gunn on the D.Va, and impressive for them to wrap up those kills. Dr. Deuce again with this tire in the third section here, really kind of changed the tide of that fight. Ultimately not able to make the complete hold, but getting the triple kill here, and really, again, swinging the tide of that fight the other direction, and effectively ending before they were able to push that through. But definitely solid ult from him, and yeah, solid game all the way around. Excited to see both these strong pushes, and Intangibles just a little bit on the short end of the sticks this time. We'll get the map pick from them and come back for our second game. We'll be right back. Welcome back to week 1 of season 3 of the OWXL League. Salt and Pepper here with Space 26. We just saw WinkyFace take the win there in a very closely fought battle on Eichenwald. Both teams pushing through in their first round. That WinkyFace able to wrap up there in the third round as Intangibles didn't have any time left on the clock. But coming into the second game, we'll get the pick from Intangibles. And what do you think the biggest takeaway was from that point, and what do you think we might see from Intangibles on this next map sec?
Man, biggest takeaway, in my opinion, would be that neither of these teams really has the upper hand on the other. There were some really good ults that came out on either side, really good coordination, really good attacks, really good defense. In the end, WinkyFace was able to pull out the win, but I wouldn't say that either team is hands down better than the other at this point. Just really strong showings by both of them. As far as what we're going to see next, it wouldn't surprise me to see Intangibles. Probably I would go with either a 2CP or a King of the Hill map. They did a really good job defending. They almost were able to bring out the tie in that third round on Eichenwald. So the defense, I think, is really strong. They have a little bit of communication. They are one of the newer teams, so they do have a little bit of work, some kinks that need to be ironed out there. But they are incredible. They did a really good job, trying to hold the payload, and their attack was incredibly aggressive, really strong pushes. And I'm really excited to see this next game because that last one just kept me on the edge of my seat.
Still waiting on the map pick. You're exactly right. Exciting game. And glad to see that season 3 is coming out with some fervor. We will have a couple substitutions for WinkyFace. A couple other familiar faces also coming in. Vanguard now coming out for E10 2000 has played a very strong Pharah in seasons past. I'm so excited to see him in this next point. Pup Crisis coming in for Kyle Gunner, who is, again, pretty clutch with some of those Diva bombs on Eichenwald. And it will be the only girl coming in for Cheeky. It's a pretty like-for-like support swap. Obviously, they're both able to flex quite a bit, but the only girl known for Mercy play throughout the league. So we'll see how that changes the shape of this team, changing half from there. But I know that they play a lot together, so should be able to switch pretty seamlessly.
And I think the biggest thing you mentioned there is probably going to be E10 2000. I remember playing against him, and he, like you mentioned, he is an incredible Pharah. Definitely a force to be reckoned with. If the Intangibles doesn't have a good hit scan to take him out quickly, I think he's going to, give a lot of problems to the Intangibles.
Yeah, I completely agree. We did see Izanagi on the Soldier, though, able to do that quite well, so maybe the Pharah won't be an issue for them. He can flex over to that hero and take him out of the sky. But now the pick coming out from the Intangibles is Watchpoint Gibraltar, and what do you make of that pick?
Well, you heard my prediction, and this happens to be the exact opposite. I'm not going to say that, I'm terribly surprised, though, because they did have a very aggressive push. They were really good at taking out people they need to. They got stuck in that last section, which is why they ended up with, no time in the bank going on to round 3. But, I guess they took enough out of that. They probably, talked enough to each other and hoping to iron out some of the kinks and some of the picks that they're making to take home this second game.
Alright, we'll make sure both captains are ready and get this game started. Watchpoint and really escort maps in general, some of my favorites, so I'm excited to see what they have in store for us.
Arriving at Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Right, here we go. Watch Point Gibraltar. Again, this is what I'm talking about. We didn't get this map maybe but like once or twice in Season 2 with the map draft system. People just got rid of it. And I personally, I really, like I said, I like escort maps. I'm glad that we get to do this one. It's, it's classic.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of a different feel. Like you said, the maps got a little bit repetitive last season just because of the map draft. There were maps that everyone more or less didn't like, so they always got taken out relatively quickly. So I'm excited to see this one. I'm excited to see what the different teams are doing. We mentioned Pharah, E2000 playing the Pharah this time. Doesn't look like he's going to do that this time, though. He's going to go the Diva, so I'm excited to see what he can do on this hero as opposed to what we've seen them play previously. There is a lot of open space in this map, a lot of high ground and ways that you can flank from one side or the other. So this should be a really good matchup.
My New Year's resolution? Catch up on all the games I need to play.
Five, four, three, two, one. Attackers incoming.
So now for the defenders here, E10 going Diva, like you said, third F1 boy on that Arisa. Spartan Wells going Moira. The only girl on Mercy, Tectonio on McCree. Pup Crisis filling out the double hit scan on Soldier. For the attackers, to find Buzz on the Bastion, then you get positioned well on the payload early. Izanagi going Soldier. Dr. Deuce on Diva. Sponget going Winston. Hank the Deuce on Moira. 1-1 run once again on Mercy. Dr. Deuce coming in on Diva, looking to push the defenders off of this high ground pretty successfully so far, but having a few to contend with here. The only girl able to get away from that Diva damage. Tectonia able to take down Spunget and the Winston early. And as they continue to try and push this payload through the bottom section, they don't really have a ton of the numbers. The defense, I think, are a little bit better grouped up than the attack right now. And they may have to regroup as Defiant Bust meets his doom there via Pup Crisis and third F1 Boys combo.
Yeah, well, it's true they haven't really had the numbers here. I think they have done, a relatively good job of pushing. The payload is largely uncontested. We saw them, kind of pushing the defense back quite a bit. However, the defense is galvanized now with that Orisa barrier. They are able to, kind of take control of the point again. And we do see Defiant Burst switching onto that Roadhog. I'm guessing he's hoping to kind of get some people out of this death ball that WinkyFace is formed and split their team up. I'm excited to see what he's able to do.
Well, in his first look, marginally successful. They're able to grab E10, but not quite able to get the kill there, and E10 was able to escape. But now they've kind of gone back up to this high ground, able to use the Winston shield very well, and I do like the triple tank coming out from them. Generally, if at first you don't succeed, triple tank, and doing just that, hopefully that'll give them a little bit more room to work with on this payload. Defiant Bust's already getting a little bit low. They're able to use the take a breather to get away as he almost was able to pick. I believe that was Spartan Wells there. But as all start coming out, the Valkyrie from the only girl looking to, again, just solidify this team. The Pup Crisis using a second tactical visor, earning those as quickly as possible, taking down 1-1 run. And again, not able to get away from his ultimates like we saw a little bit on Eichenwald. Hopefully that's not their downfall here. Still also to work with on either side, though we'll see what the attack decides to do. They have quite a few they can choose from, but not deciding to use them just yet. They got the defense just plugging themselves in that bottom little choke point there.
Yeah, and we see the attack trying to group up. Now they somewhat split off. We see, two of them going up top the staircase, a couple of them that are able to jumping up top and pushing behind. Let's see if this little pinch is able to, kind of disrupt this strong attack that's been going on.
And now the only girl in the tough spot trying to get that res in and maybe able to escape there. Spartan Wells falling to a Helix Rock. Now the only girl does fall. So that's both supports now coming down for the defenders. That maybe the room the attack needs. E10 able to grab a support of his own, and Tectonio answering the neat Deadeye double there. 1-1 run, able to get 2 reses back with the Valkyrie. Now the attack still may have some of those momentum coming into the first point. The payload still continuing to move.
Yeah, the attack visor and the Diva Bomb, I think, really help them to just push forward and decimate this defense. So, yeah, really good job showing up. They are able to cap that first checkpoint, and we'll see them continue on to this B phase.
Yeah, and again, the aggressive push from them coming back up and just trying to take down those stragglers. Now the fight happening well towards the second checkpoint, but the payload still yet quite behind them. Third Eye Funk Boy already falling for the defense, and it's not looking good for them as this attack continues to power through relentlessly. Not a lot of ults to speak of, actually no ults on either side. There is Dr. Deuce here on stream at 95%, able to use that self-destruct here very shortly. Pup Crisis falls, but once again 1-1 run, also falling, and not able to keep this team up. Spartan Wells falls for WinkyFace as well, and his payload is almost at the second point already.
Yeah, Tectonio is doing his best to stay on this payload and try to contest. We do see E10 on the Diva as well as the only girl on Mercy trying to contest as well. But now we see the self-destruct come out, and he is able to pick up Defiant, which I think is a pretty good pick because he's had a lot of, I don't know, he's being such a sponge. He is able to take a lot of damage, but we do see the res coming out for Defiance. Pup Crisis gets a quick 2 on Hank Tadu's and Izanagi. Defiant, though, kind of getting Diva out of her mech. So kills going back and forth right now. I'm not really sure who's got control of this at the moment.
Yeah, it is hard to tell, but now the self-destruct from Dr. Deuce coming out, hoping to grab a couple. The only girl will fall, but I don't think it's from that self-destruct. Now the coalescence from Spartan Wells, though, will help this defense a little bit, but the supercharger from Third Eye Funk Boy should help bolster them even further. And to start to push back these attackers, this may be actually a good hold for them. Minute 50 on the clock, and the attack will have to rethink how they come into this point.
Yeah, it was a good combo with the supercharger and the coalescence, really just kind of cleaning up any stragglers that were left from that point, trying to contest it. So now the attack needs to kind of back up, regroup, and push together if they want to make this and get this second point.
Well, it seems for the most part they're doing just that, but E10 very privy to Izanagi trying to flank it on that upper left-hand side and pushing him down, shooing him away. But he tries to come back up, still falls there again, so now already have the advantage in this first engagement here, but now it's 1-1 run, able to get him back to fight an E10 Pup Crisis both drop. Now that's going to make it a little bit more complicated for them. The attack now on the front foot, looking to continue pushing in. Getting the kills they need, Tectonio the only one able to answer back, and ults coming out on either side is Defiant Bust with the whole hog to spread out the defense a little bit further, but now as they've cleared out the rest of the defenders there, able to get to the second checkpoint, 2 minutes and 30 seconds to wrap up this map.
Yeah, I like that Valkyrie, I like that whole hog. Good old usage on the side of the Intangibles to take that second point. And now, as we move on to the C point, the biggest problem here is going to be that the second turn around where they start to get into line of sight from the spawn of the defense. That's kind of where they got choked up last time on Eichenwald, so I'm excited to see what they're able to do this time.
Yeah, now the D-Bomb coming out from E10, looking to grab a couple, doesn't quite land where he may have wanted it to, so maybe not quite as successful, but now Third Eye Funk Boy coming out via the res there. Now it's E10 going back up to try and take on Izanagi, who found some space over there on the top, the high ground. But now it's ults coming out for both sides, coalescence for both these Moiras as Dr. Deuce tries a self-destruct of his own. Equally unsuccessful there, coming out, and as still 2 ults for the attackers there. They could try and use those here and push it through or save them for the next fight, knowing they can build a few more later. We've seen really good ult kind of monitoring and management from both sides, so I don't expect, which as I say, that they go and use them immediately. Izanagi coming out with a tactical visor, and Spugman trying to use that shatter, and it works out well for them, able to push the attack in, so obviously they know more than I do. But still no ults for the defenders, and now in a really tough spot, getting the payload pushed all the way through. We saw them able to fully push the payload portion on Eichenwald, so no reason to believe they won't be able to do that here, and to getting the kills they need in the feed to wrap up this point.
Yeah, I think Dr. Deuce did a really good job of kind of holding on to the spawn point. However, not really able to be effective in the long run. We do see the air shatter come out. He is quickly taken out though by Dr. Deuce, and I see red all over the payload right now. Coalescence comes out. We do see the Valkyrie kind of powering up Izanagi right now. We know that he's pretty ruthless as far as a soldier goes. The Mercy switch is, I'm sorry, not Mercy. There's a Tracer switch now by Pup Crisis. He does get taken out by Defiant Burst though. We see, out comes Tectonio with another Junkrat. He tries to get something, but not able to do anything with his Riptire. Self-destruct comes out, is able to get 1, and Izanagi gets 2 more with his Tac Visor to wrap up this first round.
Yeah, amazing fight there. It almost seemed like for a little bit that with the shorter respawn, the defense was going to be able to push off the attack just a little bit too strong and focusing down their targets a little too well for WinkyFace. And now, with time on the clock, unlike their finish on Eichenwald, we'll see what WinkyFace has in their pockets to come back to this point. We saw a really strong push from their payload section as well, so it'll be up to the Intangibles to stop them here, get the win back, and look for the win in the series in the third game.
Yeah, this is kind of the important this is an important moment for the Intangibles because they didn't do too hot on their defensive payload last time. They kind of just got run over. So if they can switch something up here, if they can focus their targets better, they might have a chance. But if they perform like they did last time, this might be going to round 3 and 4.
Definitely excited to see what they have in store for us. Looking at the attack shaping up here for WinkyFace, E10 now going Roadhog. And let's see, third at Funkboy going Reinhardt, Spartan Wells on Moira. Only really gonna Mercy Textonio here on your stream going Junkrat. Pupcries is still deciding. May go Tracer again. We saw him play Tracer for a little bit of that round. I think he actually switched before the contest there on the end, but looks like may fill out another DPS role, maybe a flanker. Could go Soldier.
Widow. All right. Might be messing with this, but I mean, if he can get his shots, a Widow is a great asset on Gibraltar, like I mentioned earlier, with the high grounds that are available. On the side of the Intangibles, we do see a Torbjorn, we see the Diva, Izanagi is playing, Dr. Deuce is going to be on Soldier, Spugnut is going to be on Orisa this time, Hank the Deuce is going to be on that Zenyatta, and then we see 1-1 Fun again, I'm sorry, 1-1 Run again on the Mercy, just doing a really good job so far.
Yeah, and not really being held too early on here. The payload already going around this underneath section, and interesting positioning here from the defense. We don't see this too often, but with the Torbjorn able to set up on the high ground could be essential for them. You've got to think where turret places a little bit closer to the spawn, but not taking any damage from the spawn either, so we could be proven wrong here. With the attack coming in very strongly, obviously nobody falling just yet, both hiding behind those shields. And Sponge trying to position himself in a way that protects his team as optimally as possible. Again, nobody falling, and both teams grouped up pretty well so far. Maybe timid pushes here. No one really wanted to commit, but now Textonio falling. Already a self-destruct earned here from Izanagi on the Diva, unable to connect, and Textonio comes back up. It's still a full 6v6 for both teams, but now as E10 falls, that's going to be an advantage for the defense. But answering back, going really both sides, but not believe it is the attack falling. The defenders look like they're holding well here.
Yeah, you mentioned it was an interesting place. We've never seen someone place this far back, but it seems to have worked out for them for the most part. Like you said, they set up that Torp turret on the high ground. They had the Orisa set up around that corner, and they just decided they wanted to hold right here, and they did. That's exactly what they did. They held that little corner, and it does allow them to kind of have a little shorter time from spawn to where the rest of their team is. So, yeah, definitely interesting, but it worked out really well for them.
Well, and you make that point, I was just about to say, that obviously the respawn kind of favors the defenders a little bit more here, which obviously you wouldn't normally see on this first checkpoint. Now the attack is a little bit further to go, so it could help them in the timing for these fights and give them a little bit more, just not have to be as scrambling, getting to this first point, may not have to give it up as early on. You see under 2 minutes here for the attackers. So, yeah, again, working out well so far. They have 3 ults. They can use a few more on the way. They should have 6 here, actually within the next 10 or 15 seconds or so. But ults on the other side as well. Pup Crisis the only one furthest away, but also, I think switch that Diva a little late as, but as we see a Diva bomb rather come out from Izanagi. That's the second of the game. Spartan Wells now falling. We'll get res here from the only girl, but forcing that out will make it make the attack a little bit disadvantaged coming in here. Still a lot of ults on either side that we'll see how this next engagement breaks out. The only girl in a really difficult spot in that room, able to get back to safety, however, and trying to take the high ground, but the defense not really letting them have it. I mean, not letting them have it, but taking it by force. The attack now coming in, using quite a few ults to get through that top section, but then the ultimate's coming out for the other side. Textonio able to take down the supercharger that Sponge was able to put down, but it does seem like they're cleaning up the kills as well as they need to. Sub 60 seconds now as the defense continues to contest them, but pushing in really well. They may be able to get the point in, but they have a lot of work to do still as ults come out from the defense as well. Pupcries is able to grab 1-1 Run, who's just caught in that ultimate once again, and the Defiant Bust. Multicore not able to keep the attackers at bay. You know, do get that checkpoint, continue to clean up, and start plowing a little bit further forward. 3 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, really impressive on the side of WinkyFace, just able to kind of come out. They get that top push for the Coalescence. They took care of the supercharger, and yeah, got the kills they needed to get this second checkpoint. Let's see what they're able to do now at this point. It looks like the defense is already kind of setting up on this payload. Maybe the attack just didn't have the numbers they needed to at the end of that push, and so now they're going to need to regroup and reset in order to try to retake control.
I think they've been trying to stagger some stragglers behind them, but yeah, the defense was able to kind of set up a little further forward as Naki starting off once again, getting another Diva Bomb, able to pick up E10, using those very regularly and having to force out the res very early. That's an interesting thing now with the new Mercy changes, another dimension to the fight, having to get those reses and kind of force them out early on, knowing that the respawn, if you're then able to take down another target, that one's down for good. But now Tactical Visor coming out here, I believe that's from Dr. Deuce, able to grab E10. And again, the defense doing well, just managing their ultimates, picking up the players a bit at a time, and able to win these fights just from, chiseling away at this grouped up WinkyFace team.
Yeah, the defense has been incredibly strong. I think the Orisa has been a really good pick. That shield has come in handy multiple times, as well as the Reaper, I think, is doing a really good job of kind of getting behind that attacking push and kind of putting a lot of damage into WinkyFace. So here we go. There's another push starting off, and let's see what they're able to do.
Dr. Deuce in a really good position here on the high ground on Soldier. I'll be surprised if E10 doesn't come up and get him. Coming for him now and trying to force him off that point. Now is Izanagi on that, also one Diva trying to give him a little bit of help. Izanagi, though, maybe a push out of back here, but 90% to another self-destruct, and earning those incredibly quickly, and that's definitely a difference maker for Intangibles so far and why the defense has been strong up to this point. But now as the ultimates start to come out, it looks like the attack's starting to get a little bit further on the front foot. The ultimates coming out, though. Hank the Deuce using that Transcendence a little bit late, though, not able to help the members on the ground and will fall there, caught in a difficult position. But now it looks like the defense may be retreating just a little bit. They know they have time to contest once more before the B checkpoint, and the attack only has 45 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, it does seem like it's favoring the defense. If they're able to, kind of get this a good hold, I think it'll work out really well for them. We do see the attack fighters to come out, as well as an Earth Shatter, and we do see another bomb coming out from the side of Izanagi. I can't even tell you how many of those he's had so far. But he comes out, not able to get any picks from it, and no one was on the payload. No one was on the payload to contest it. They are able to push it forward to get that next checkpoint, and now we move on to the third section.
Yeah, easily my biggest complaint there. They were spread out by this WinkyFace attack, who just did a really good job of compartmentalizing the defenders and taking them down one by one. But yeah, just able to coast that payload into the B point a little too easily, and Intangibles maybe kicking themselves knowing that they had a bit of the time advantage there and now have a little bit more of a mountain to climb. They still know that they did get all the way through with time on the clock, however. A minute and 30 for WinkyFace, and it's a short way to push, but it's very difficult to get this far sometimes, so we'll see how they do. Self-destruct coming out and ultimates for either side. Defined was able to pick up the only girl with that Death Blossom. Sponge it, however, falling to E10's self-destruct, Pup Crisis as well, and really just swapping both directions right now. Difficult to tell who has the upper hand, bit of a stalemate around the corner, but the defenders with the shorter respawn, again, will take a lot of positives from being in a good position here.
Yeah, I think the Diva did a really good job of holding on. Izanagi just kind of, putting in some attack into putting some damage into the attack and preventing them from pushing forward. The Coalescence does come out now, trying to get a couple picks. We see another self-destruct come out on the side of Izanagi. He is able to get out E10. The only girl does res third eye Funk Boy, which I think is going to be pretty big, having another Reinhardt just swinging away right now. The Winston, though, Sponge it switch to, I think is also pretty effective as far as, kind of repelling that attack goes. And yeah, they're kind of stalled right here on this corner.
Yeah, it has to be 5 or 6 self-destructs for Izanagi, just running a clinic here on Diva and building us ultra really early. Tactonium finally able to cut him down in the back, and the attack continuing to push here. Tactical Visor coming out from Pup Crisis, but Hank the Deuce on it once again with the Transcendence, just protecting his team and making sure they won't take any damage, forcing that ult wasted. But now coming in here, just 10 seconds on the clock. If they do finish, they won't have any time left, so Intangibles will take a little bit of positives from that, but still a little bit of work to do as the Shatter comes in from Third Eye Funk Boy. Will be able to grab one, and it may have moved Izanagi off. Actually, he is able to get back and pushing out from the payload well, but yeah, just in a really tough spot here, and again with a longer respawn, I don't know if the attack will be able to keep up this push.
Yeah, that Winston ult did his very best to try to help, kind of push everyone off the payload. However, in the end, it wasn't quite enough to completely take them out. We are in overtime now. Yeah, Spartan doing his level best to try to, switch between attacking and defending. We saw him get a couple picks. Out comes the self-destruct from E10 2000. He is able to get Dr. Deuce, and they push this on to the very last checkpoint. So round 2 is over. We move into round 3 and 4. Even though WinkyFace was in overtime, they do get an extra minute to kind of push this forward, and you know, the other side also gets another minute. So they have an 18-second difference. Maybe not quite as big of a deal as they would have liked. However, I think it will help them because they had a rather astounding attack last time, especially on this first checkpoint. So I'm excited to see what each team kind of comes up with, the changes they make, the decisions that they decide from what they've been given.
I do have to say, I think that was Intangibles' game to lose there. We saw them with kind of WinkyFace with their backs up against the wall on more than one occasion and not quite able to close out the game. And again, already down a hole, one in this series, trying to tie it up here on Watchpoint Gibraltar, the map they picked. A little difficult to see them allow the third round here. So hopefully they'll be able to just kind of strengthen their defense, solidify here a little bit, and prevent WinkyFace from getting too much further.
We do see a lot of the same, more or less. Pub Crisis is going to switch to that fair, though, which I like to see on Gibraltar because there's so much space up high, and it is able to kind of negate any high ground that the defense might be able to, keep control over.
Kind of a pseudo-divey comp here from WinkyFace with Pub Crisis and Texonio, a little bit more mobile heroes, Spartan Wells and the only girl. They're not the speed of Lucio, but I like flex there from Spartan Wells, Third Eye Funk Point, East End, looking to take all members off the high ground. But spread out a little bit here, the defense looks like they're in a pretty good spot, at least the core of the defense in a pretty okay position here, but definitely more of the attackers in the fray and trying to break down the shield here from Spongeit. And continuing to push the payload, defense having to move back here, retreating and give up the ground, and WinkyFace will take as much as they can, but now as Spongeit falls, that could be the difference for them. The coalescence coming out here from Spartan Wells and Third Eye Funk Point Texonio starting to get some kills here as well, and WinkyFace encouraged by the strong attack right off the bat from them.
What do you think of the difference of positioning? Last time we saw them start off quite a ways back, closer to the first checkpoint, and this time they were pushed pretty far forward. What do you think, is kind of going on in their head in that?
Map length, potentially. Obviously, if they start with all the time on the clock there, the potential map length is much longer than it would be with a minute on the clock. So I think they're just trying to prevent WinkyFace from getting any kind of real estate, but it's not really panning out for them as they are starting to fall. And while the payload hasn't moved yet, the attack still looks like it has a little bit of the advantage. And maybe starting to get the kills. They know they need to win maybe one or two fights to get through to that first checkpoint. Obviously, the take there would be huge for them coming in with just a minute 18 for the Intangibles. So looking to continue getting the kills. Spongeit now switching to Winston will be killed by Pub Crisis in a combination between that Farah and the Winston here on the other side, Third Eye Funk Boy. But the attack's still going in really strongly, knowing they have to stay tight to the payload or that overtime meter will shoot down immediately. It looks like Intangibles may just give them this first checkpoint and live to fight another day.
Yeah, I think that was a smart decision by them. WinkyFace is doing a really good job of, staying together on that payload, putting damage on the defense from the payload, and maybe having one or two people get off of it, to kind of split them off. However, as a whole, they're doing a really good job of not forgetting about what their objective is, which we see teams do more often than we'd like.
Yeah, definitely, and I completely agree with that. I will say that we kind of criticized WinkyFace's communication in the first round on Iconwall, but definitely turning it around here and combining well. Ultimate's coming out again on either side. I believe that's a tactical visor from Izanagi trying to get a couple. Spongeit and Third Eye both using their Primal Ragers, grabbing a kill apiece. Now Defiant Bus coming in and taking 10 out with that whole hog. Clearing off the payload just a little bit, but again, just fighting around it as well as they can. And doing pretty well so far. They're just trying to push the rest of the attack off. They will clean up E10. And good attack and push there from WinkyFace. And now Intangibles know exactly what they have to do to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really good push on the side of WinkyFace. They got that first checkpoint, which is huge when you only have a minute or a minute and 18, as it were. So I really want to see, the Intangibles come out with something strong, put out a lot of damage, because that WinkyFace is gonna, have a lot of damage sponges and a lot of attack themselves, even though they are on defense. So. Yeah, I'm excited to see, what their strategy is here. Like you mentioned, this is the map they picked, so this is the one they need to win.
Also interesting to note, the graphic there on the screen, WinkyFace, on their rosters for the players from Season 2, 3, 4, Tier 3, 4 Championship team, Brick Squad. So a lot of talent in this side. Like I said, we've seen them on stream before. A very strong team, but now Intangibles, the newcomers, giving them a run for their money. And again, really exciting week 1 so far. As a neutral, obviously, you hope that Intangibles are able to put up the hold here and force this round 3. I don't want this game to end.
Yeah, it's been incredibly enjoying to watch. Both of these games so far have gone into extra rounds, and I agree, it would be a lot of fun to see them go into a round 3 here.
As we noted, interesting defense for Intangibles when it was their turn. Now the same thing coming out from WinkyFace, holding back just as far. What do you make of that, and why do you think that they've changed their defenses for each of these pushes?
Probably because WinkyFace knows how far they have to, how far they have to hold Intangibles from getting. They know they have at least that first checkpoint, and so that's where they're going to make their stand. If they can keep them from getting around that turn and getting that first checkpoint, they know that they can win this game because the Intangibles is going to have a long walk.
Yeah, and especially using that exceptional high ground there, it's difficult to get to, and Pup Crisis on the Bastion, raining down a lot of that damage, and already taking down Sponge, and just nowhere to hide for him, just melting through any kind of shield that could be on the side of Intangibles, and already the time starts to tick down for them. 20 seconds on the clock, and again, it's Pup Crisis up at the top, just melting down the opponents, able to grab, I believe that was Reaper, and then again, Izugnagi. Defiant Bust also falling in, just again, they really, if they're not able to get to him, this could be a very short fight for them.
Yeah, 10 seconds left. It's a little fun to see WinkyFace take Intangible strategy and use it against them, but it's worked out pretty well for them. They're in overtime, though. The Winston is able to get there at the last second. However, now the overtime meter ticks down. Dr. Deuce is able to ghost onto there at the last second as well, but he gets taken down. Izanagi gets taken down one by one. These people are falling. The Bastion and Orisa, I think, might be a little bit too much for them as far as damage goes.
Yeah, and as you see, that's just a little bit too strong for them. WinkyFace able to get the second win there to win the game, and impressive from them. I gotta be honest, after during their attack, their original attack, I didn't think they would be able to pull this out. I thought that Intangibles would come back and take this game, but proving us wrong, coming up back really strong, and showing the talent on their team there, able to take that win.
So that will be the end of this match between Intangibles and WinkyFace. WinkyFace coming out with a 2-0 win. Really good games, though, all the way around. Neither team, I'd still say, had an upper hand. Neither team was really hands down better than the other one. Both games had to go into extra rounds. WinkyFace pulling it out at the very end both times, and just really impressive showing by everyone involved.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break and get our post-match thoughts. So, congratulations to WinkyFace on their Week 1 win, starting off the season the way they'd like, the 2-0 win over Intangibles. I think the scoreline probably an inaccurate reflection of that game. Fairly highly contested between both sides. I think both those games could have really gone either way, but WinkyFace a little bit stronger of the two. Intangibles will have to kind of regroup, back to the drawing board, come back in Week 2, and look for their first win of the season. But yeah, just final thoughts from the games. What do you think?
I would say really strong attacks by both teams. They both came out. They did a really good job of focusing on their targets, staying on point for the most part, and kind of continuing out. The defenses probably on both sides could have used a little bit of work. I think both teams are gonna have to, like you said, go kind of back to the drawing board, work out what they need to do on defense to win the games they need to later on in the season. But overall, like you said, both teams really showed up. Neither of them, the score itself doesn't really reflect the game that was just played by both of these teams. I'm looking forward to playing them in our games, and yeah, I'm just really excited to see how these teams progress throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just exciting to see the teams come out, obviously practice well in the offseason and communicating well, putting on their best show there, and hopefully all the games will be just like this. Next week, the map of the week is Oasis, a bit of a control point to open up. So we'll see how that pans out. But looking at the upcoming games for both these teams, Atlas B taking on WinkyFace next week, and it'll be the Intangibles facing All Natty, the Tier 1-2 champions from Season 2. So, yeah, some solid matchups on the way. Again, our next game will be tomorrow, actually, 8 p.m. Eastern, between Positive Toxicity and All Natty. Hopefully we'll have that game on stream for you, but we can bring you that information if you are in our Discord. If not, go to the website, OWXLeague.com. There's a link there to join. You can get in and get all that spectacular information about upcoming events and obviously games that will be streamed and good things like that. The rosters, schedule, standings up on the website. Actually, I take it back. Standings will be up there after week 1 once we get all these games played. But the rosters and schedules definitely up there, so go check those out. And the rules as well posted, so definitely make sure you're familiar with those. There's a link on that webpage. But yeah, I think that'll do it for us. Again, if you do want to catch the game from last night, that is on the Twitch stream as well. You can tab over there and catch all the action from Revenant and Daddyland. But I think that will do it for me. Any final thoughts, Zach?
None on my end. Really good game. Glad to be here. Glad to have the opportunity to watch these two teams duke it out like the way they did. Yeah, and I will see you next time.
That sounds good. Yes, for Zach Space 26, I am Salt and Pepper, and we will see you next time.